What is up everyone, once again it is Lovenji here and welcome back to another episode of Warhammer Dark Omen. Now, I do have to begin this with a personal update. I mentioned some while ago back in August that I would be moving house, and I'm actually going to be doing that as this video uploads. So there'll be 1 week, maybe 2, where I actually won't have internet set up to continue making videos, but rest assured the channel's not abandoned and I'll be back with you as soon as I possibly can. Now, this mission is going to be interesting. It's one of the more longer ones since, well, for a while, to be fair. And I can't wait to show it to you. So, without further ado, let's get this underway.
King Orion, Commander Bernhardt comes seeking the knowledge you promised.
You are a welcome guest, Commander. I am glad you answered my request to attend.
So, what is your news?
I have been informed that you sought information from King Leon Kerr, with little result.
That's true.
The king had no desire to reveal the shameful secret of the Black Grail Knights. Those Grail Knights who have been raised from their tombs and deceived into serving the dread king. Bretonnia takes great pride in the purity and honor of its Grail Knights. No Bretonian ruler would wish the news to go abroad that Black Grail Knights are in the service of unholy powers.
Black Grail Knights. That's a blasphemous creation. The Grail Knights who were laid to rest deserve better than to be resurrected by evil and warped into mockeries of their former selves.
They pose a monstrous threat to all living beings. You will need every assistance you can find if you are to confront the Black Grail Knights. I will offer you what I can. A regiment of my most expert archers. Galed is here. I believe you know him.
Well met, Morgan. I'm pleased to see you again, and honored to be joining your forces once more.
I'm glad you'll be coming with me, Galed. How long will you be staying with my army?
And to the end, bitter or otherwise.
That end may not be far away. Prepare to leave for Mucilon, my friend.
I wish you light in the dark, Commander Bernhardt.
Goodbye, my Lord Orion.
Morgan, Treeman desires our aid in preventing undead forces from entering the forest and polluting the spirit of the trees. Listen, Morgan. I like trees as much as the next man. But we've got more important matters in hand. While we're wasting time, all hell will be breaking out in Mucilon.
I can't let the undead befoul Loren's woodlands. We aid the Treeman.
I can scent a foulness in the air. Undead sighted on the path ahead.
Crush them.
Well, what is up everyone, we are back and we are in the forest protecting a tree man. And you can already see there are plenty of tough enemies to deal with. So the way we deploy is going to be very particular. But fortunately we have high ground and we can only be attacked from 2 flanks, so it's not a very open battlefield. This is a very defensive mission, so I'm sorry for those of you who don't like defensive missions, but with the amount that we have to deal with, it's absolutely imperative that you try to play this defensively. So we have a new unit with us, this is Glade Guard Bowmen, which were the ones I thought we had in the previous mission when I deployed them to the back safely and then tried to make ranged attacks with them several times. But now we have them for real, and they're fantastic units. They shoot much quicker than the crossbows and over a much greater range. They do less damage, but because they shoot more and it's all dice rolls, I generally consider them to be more effective. So we've got our units split in 2 halves, and the enemy is just going to slowly walk at us. we're going to be using the ground firing technique to try and get as much damage done as we physically can.
Hold fire!
You can already hear just how quickly the archers are shooting. And you can see the distance as well. It's one of the reasons why they're such an invaluable unit. I really rate them over the crossbows.
Aye, sir. Hold fire! Yes, my lord.
So I'm doing the ground fire technique, which is why you'll hear a lot of hold fire this time. And then we're going to be using the Bright Wizard to try and snipe the chariot before it actually charges.
Aye, sir.
Forward! Hold fire! Aye, sir. Charge! Charge! Charge!
So we make a point of making sure we're doing all the aggressive engagements. We're making sure that we are not letting the chariot charge, and then we're getting charged on the other angle. So what we're doing is we're being very, very proactive about how we fight. Ragnar's wolves are running away, but because they're cavalry, we don't have to worry about them. And a preactive charge from the Grail Knights gets them into combat first. The Grail Knights are incredibly tough, so we don't have to worry too much about whether they're going to win or not, because they most certainly will. Trying to turn Ragnar round quickly enough and get him to charge first, but I fail on getting him to charge. However, as Ragnar's not being charged from behind, he wasn't very likely to flee, and we can toughen him up. Now, one thing I would recommend you do differently compared to how I play is I actually get the Treeman killed in this mission because I use them in combat far too much. I would recommend that you don't use the Treeman at all and just use your own units as buffers. So the enemy's going to continuously spawn units on either side, and these units are just going to slowly walk at us. So it's all about how you hold down each flank. The problem is, as we've said before, Wights are very tough units, and they continue to be a very big problem.
Yes, my lord. Forward! Attack! Retreat!
Once again, Ragnar's wolves can't do anything.
Enemy destroyed!
People put really high value in them because they're supposedly a tough cavalry unit, but all I ever see them doing is running away, so I get very fed up with them. Cavalry units have a really good advantage that because they move quicker, they're harder to hit with artillery, and additionally they're great for flanking attacks, but I find them very lackluster in combat.
Target received! Enemy sighted! Aye, sir.
So what I would do at this point, if I were to redo this mission, would be to pull the Treeman back and keep him safe. I continue to use him in combat from this point onwards, and he will die. I do not replay the mission because the Treeman dies, because his death does not affect very much. You get different text, and the chances are you probably didn't even realise you get different text because you probably tried to keep him alive the entire time. One of the things it does affect is it lowers the amount of gold that you get as a reward for this quest, but as I don't need the gold, I'm not particularly bothered about not being able to keep the Treeman alive.
We're under fire! Target lost! Enemy destroyed!
So the enemy Necromancer will perform these tele raids on you. He'll go back to the little hilltop, and then he'll teleport into you, hit you with a spell, then teleport back to the little hilltop again.
Enemy sighted.
And he'll repeat that till you go past the halfway point for this map.
Aye, sir.
Once you go past that halfway point, he then actually becomes aggressive, as well as with extra units. As you can see, the Undead are doing a great job of just being incredibly annoying. And that's a sign of how tough Wights are. They took a cannon shot, you heard the sound of them taking damage, but only one of them died. Wights are just the worst.
Forward!
So we're just trying to whittle away. The archers won't get very many more white kills, but they will continue to soften up the unit for the melee that follows. It's primarily the Wights that will kill the Treeman, so if you are going to use the Treeman, try to keep him out of combat with Wights, because they will be the ones that generally kill him. And they are the ones that kill him for me. You can hear another teleporting raid from the wizard. This time, a missed shot on my mortar, and I don't know how he missed that close. Sometimes the AI doesn't make the brightest decisions.
To arms! Enemy sighted! Attack! Charge! We fear the enemy!
So as always, skeletons inflict fear, so you get little voice lines like that even this late in the game, where they're scared of whatever enemy. Grail Knights getting charged by Skelly Swordsman down the other flank, we don't particularly care about. Skelly Swordsmen are very terrifying, even if Ragnar likes to argue with me to the contrary. So this is purely about cleaning this up, and our Treeman is going to die very soon, unfortunately. But with the infantry, Ragnar's Wolves and the Grail Knights on that front, there's no way those swordsmen are going to break through. Just giving them a couple of little buffs to stop them running away, but ultimately that flank's going to be fine, and that is the easier of the two flanks to hold by a long way, as you see a lot less tough units coming down there. We've had Chariots, we've had Horsemen, and we've had Skelly Swordsmen, whereas this side has already dealt with two lots of Wights, Chariots, Horsemen, and Swordsmen. There he goes, there goes our poor Treeman. You get the wonderful Treeman death sound, and our ogres think that's horrid. So yeah, I would recommend, if you can, keeping the Treeman alive, purely because you get extra gold for it, and you do get different voice lines. But lots of people have probably never actually heard the voice lines that you get for when the Treeman dies in this battle, but you still win the battle. It's not mandatory that he survives.
Let's go.
Forward! Enemy sighted!
So, as you can see, the game continues to spawn in units, and they continue to just stream in towards us. It's why this is a primarily defensive mission.
Attack!
As you start to push up, you'll hit more and more spawning triggers, as well as continue to be raided by the Necromancer. Now, one of the most threatening things is, of course, your mortar can't move, and the Necromancer, as you've already seen, will try to teleport raid it. If you've got nothing nearby, then you've got nothing to sort of dissuade the Necromancer and keep your mortar alive. One of the biggest reset methods for people on this mission is they've moved out and the Necromancer tele-snipes their mortar. And because the mortar's so crucial for the rest of the missions, if you lose your mortar, you really are just pretty much forced to reset.
Hold fire!
Fortunately, whilst cavalry are quicker, they're not as robust as Wights, and so with our hold fire technique, we can really whittle down cavalry units.
We're under fire!
And there's our good friend, the
Enemy lost.
Necromancer once again.
Enemy sighted!
I keep trying to engage him in melee with the archers. One of the interesting facts about the elven archers is they're actually quite good at melee. They're by no ways as good as any infantry unit in the game, but when compared to the Grudgebringer crossbows, they can hold their own in melee really quite well.
Target received! Aye, sir. Hold fire!
But as you can see, the elven bowmen put out an almost constant barrage of arrows, which looks more impressive and also just helps whittle enemies down a little bit more. One of the reasons why they're not getting very many kills is because they're only level 2, because they've only just joined us.
Target received. Aye, sir. Hold fire! Yes, my lord.
So with that,
Aye, sir.
we can now start to move forward.
Yes, my
The
lord.
enemy is really starting to run out of numbers now, and we can start to be aggressive around that. But the amount of chariots that we've had to deal with, the Wights, the Horsemen, it's much easier if you make them come to you. I get a wonderful little snipe
Enemy
there with
sighted.
the laser.
Yes, my lord.
At this point, the Necromancer's
Enemy
starting to get
sighted.
really quite confused. He's actually just teleporting on me and then teleporting away, instead of doing anything when he teleports.
Yes.
So I'm just re-establishing the formation.
Forward!
There shouldn't be many more units left to deal with at this point in the mission, so now we can start to use our cavalry to make an advance. Our other flank, albeit a little injured, is in one piece, and they're not going to get teleport raided.
Aye, sir.
So I was being a little bit cheeky there, trying to see what I could do with the artillery. But ultimately, as much as I try to mess around in this mission, there's only one thing left for it, and that's to make an advance. There are going to be additional units that spawn when we make this advance, and I am aware of that, so I was just thinking about the best way to advance.
Forward!
And as you can see, the Necromancer is wielding
Enemy
a
sighted.
wonderful unit of Wights that are ultimately
Aye,
uninjured.
sir. We're under fire! Enemy sighted! Enemy sighted!
He's now going to start behaving a lot
Enemy
more
sighted.
weirdly
Engage!
because we've gone past a particular point in the map.
Aye, sir.
And what you'll get is those units of Wights will slowly start to move.
Target received! Yes, my lord.
So I'm just making sure all the firing orders have gone in now, and the
Forward.
Wights are now marching towards us.
Aye, sir.
Gives us an opportunity to bring the line back. Obviously, Wights are dangerous,
Hold fire!
so I want as many men fighting as possible.
Enemy
At this point,
sighted.
you don't have to be as much of a coward as I am.
Target
Horsemen
received.
and swords are going to spawn, but it's the same procedure for dealing with those as it has been all mission.
lord.
You've got archers to soften them up, you've got a mortar,
sir.
and you've got a bright wizard. What more do you need, really?
Hold fire!
I'm getting a couple of good ground shots on the Wights, which is really reducing the unit size.
Hold fire! Aye, sir.
So I'm trying to produce a nice concave. RTS players know the importance of a concave. Very similar to here, we can start attacking all the units from different sides.
Aye, sir. Hold fire!
And as you can see, I've also pulled the Grail Knights over. This is going to be the final battle of the game, the final sort of front, so I've just made sure that all my best units are here and ready.
Target lost!
And you can just use these wonderful wizard spells to really whittle down the cavalry before they even reach you. There's barely anything left to the unit of Wights. There's barely anything left to the unit of skeleton horsemen. So by the time it's reached us, it's well and truly softened up.
Enemy sighted!
And we can start to make sure that we clean this up.
Aye, sir. Open fire! Charge!
And just like that, that's going to be our final engagement of the mission. I'll leave the mission to close out now, and I'll see you in the outro.
destroyed! Charge! Charge! I see. Target locked! Enemy sighted! To arms! Hold fire! Enemy destroyed! Now burn! To arms! To the death! Charge!
Kill!
To the death! To the death! Enemy destroyed! We are victorious!
Well, that was it, everyone. That was mission 22, and we are almost done with the game now. There's really not very many missions left. And I'm going to be moving house for the next couple of weeks, and I'll be back as soon as I get my internet. So, as always, continue to interact, like, leave comments, subscribe, and let me know what you'd like to see in future videos. I'll be doing my best to keep in touch with all of you while I'm away. Bye for now.